phone, which I think is kind of funny. You can see my phone on the windowsill just there. So that's where the internet's coming from now. It seems more reliable though, huh? Hello, anyone who's watching this. Okay, so yeah, might be completely wrong, but I'll just say back what I thought I understood, which is yeah, so it's like you're kind of trying to work out almost like Maslow's like hierarchy of needs, like the kind of community level version of that. I guess it's generally applied to individuals, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but like looking at kind of what are the basic things that are required for a community to survive, I guess, and then on that spectrum towards not just surviving, but really thriving and flourishing. And looking at the kind of milestones, knowing that not one size fits all. There's no kind of cookie cutter model that's going to apply for every community, but a sort of a model that can help with understanding where a community is at, in the sense of not just meeting its own needs, but particularly from the point of view of people doing it for themselves, like community level self-organizing, especially, rather than it all being kind of assumed that it's top-down governmental sort of infrastructure. Like, where is this community at on that spectrum of taking care of itself and providing those, yeah, food, shelter, transport, education, health, those kind of minimum basic needs? And what are the, so yeah, the project, as I understand it, you're trying to do is kind of create a model for understanding, for assessing where a community is at on that spectrum. And maybe it's weak in food, but it's quite strong in education, for example. And this model would help with identifying that, but also for comparing this community in a helpful way, not a sort of like performance only way, to like another community, I suppose, one that you can see is kind of relevant. They're not kind of apples and oranges. They're similar communities, maybe similar size, similar kind of political or societal sort of context in some ways, maybe. And yeah, you can see how did this community overcome some of those challenges around providing high quality access to food or water. Can we learn from those practices, like a kind of learning from best practice sort of catalyst? So not just mapping out information for the sake of just getting drunk on information and data, but actually it being a really interactive, living, breathing ecosystem that can go, this worked really well here. How can we make it as quick and easy and fun as possible to try something similar to what they did and use it in this community to try and improve access to clean water?
Yeah, I think that ultimately that sounds like a brilliant description of what we want to achieve in sort of a community economic development plan that could be used, and that makes it so that the learnings from one plan can be leveraged by another community. The learnings of one community can be leveraged by another. To actually achieve that with this project within Burgnik, you know, we want to look at how we would build that model out. So when you actually have a community that are there saying, okay, we want to develop an economic development plan, we want to be able to do this for our community, how do we go about it? It's overwhelming. How does everything connect with everything? And that actually there are so many software platforms out there that attempt to do similar things, or things that are coming up, like Mindomo is one that comes to mind, that I think are trying to do similar things. I think we need to do it from within communities, and through actually working with the people in communities, and then translate what we learn as we develop the architecture of this platform. So what I'm seeing is, you know, yes, the top level things that you've mentioned, like food, water, housing, health, education, and then looking at the challenges, or what's available in the community that is providing that support, what isn't available, what are the needs, what are the challenges in servicing those needs.
Mm.
What can be done to overcome them? There could be government things, there could be non-government things, there could be projects that are happening within the community.
Yes, that's really to help shine a light on the roadblocks and the hurdles, so that they're really surfaced and everybody can see them clear as day. This is the thing that's holding us back from moving forward in a particular area of developing the economy of this community.
Yeah. And I think that as you were describing what you were, I was thinking, well, you know, yeah, ultimately we probably need sort of a drop-down list of what is the challenges, and that we build onto what the challenges are as you work in more and more communities, so that a software would automatically recognize, you start typing something in and it would pop up some of the challenges or in other communities, or that you'd be able to search on where did this challenge, where was it present in other communities. You'd have, this is building out the big picture of what this platform might be. You'd need a description of the community, the basics of what type of community, which countries it's in, what are the what are the population bracket and so on, so that you'd be able to search across different communities to see who've got like challenges from a similar environment and so on. You know, I think that's how it would, how it would need to build out ultimately. But what we want to do in this first stage is, even just by sharing this conversation, how we can feed from the research analysis that Sid's done at Universal Alliance in this community called Birkneck. If we use the real-time board, real-time board, just visually from what you showed me, it was the piece of software that stuck in my mind that maybe we can use at this very beginning, early stage, so that we have these, we've just talked through, and that we can then sort of we can connect with the community and discuss, here are the different challenges that came up. Then the community would have these, big whiteboards, big sort of piece of white paper and things, and then post-it notes that we can then dive into in a group and see the connections of what's going on in the community. And then, then as we work into the third week of being in Birkneck, where we're actually looking at, okay, let's look at a co-op store and what each of the individual schools can bring to doing something that would produce something in this store. And then how the projects that would then come out of that. Okay, so it's this is the vertical wall garden project because we're going to supply food. So this is a project that goes onto the economic development map. This is somebody wants to make beads. Then they use, this is what they need in order to do that. And that goes into the economic development map. So we start building that out and seeing, then as activity starts actually happening in Birkneck, we can start to make it even more interesting by feeding, by mapping the shifts in metrics and the number of people being employed within projects and that sort of thing. That's how we build out. So I guess in this first stage, it's what I would like to do though is have a means to give data entry to what we're learning within Birkneck. So, and I think real-time board is probably the best way we can go about that.
That's the most coherent, not that the rest of the stuff you said has not been coherent, but that's the most simple, clear, I think, sentence, like the way of describing it. Just sort of kind of came out of that stuff you just said there, that I just was like, oh, I get it, like really clearly there. Just wanting to capture what you're learning about the community of Birkneck in a visual, safe way online, where it's not going to get lost or confused.
Those conversations helping me to do that, so thank you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no worries. Cool. So yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to collect loads of information. You're going to be learning loads about where Birkneck is at and what I suppose what I guess you think it needs as a community, but also what they think they need, which might be slightly different things. Because I guess this platform and this sort of project as a whole, I guess, is partly about, well, it's a lot to do with learning from best practice, I guess. No, I mean, what a boring, dry sort of corporate terminology, but the sort of idea of it is pretty clear and widely understood, and certainly beneficial, depending what you mean by best practice. Because I guess in different sort of sectors we have differing opinions on what best means. But yeah, certainly learning from what is felt by the community as working really well, and being able to kind of transport that over to another community where the context is similar enough for it to apply. Like that is interesting. I wanted to just quickly show you something which I don't know if you're familiar with. I don't know if you saw me sneakily trying to screen share it just now while you were talking just then. But IDEO is a world famous kind of design company who are tasked with big complex design challenges, often from sort of big companies who want something like a product or a service sort of redesigned. It could be anything from a trolley to the recycling system in Singapore. But OpenIDEO is their effort to open the creative process to the world, so everybody in the world can participate in coming up with solutions for meaningful things in particular. So here they have their social challenges, and you can take part in it. I mean, it's quite different to what you're talking about, but I guess they do have an amazing process for kind of inviting ideas and bringing them together. It's funny that I'm having to do this because I've already made an account with them. I guess I haven't used it for a while. I kind of just want to give you a glimpse of their process of ideation.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's a current challenge. How might we better prepare all learners for the needs of tomorrow by reimagining higher education? So here you can see the timeline of the ideation process, and OpenIDEO use roughly the same narrative of ideation for all their challenges that they invite the world to contribute to. But they do have slight variations on them, depending on how big or complex and maybe other factors the challenges are. So if you click, yeah, so this is an introduction to it where they outline the problem. Why is there a need for design thinking and brainstorming something? And then, yeah, evaluation. So I guess, like, what's the outcomes they're looking for, and what would a good idea look like? Goals of the challenge, blah, blah, blah. So I can't participate in the research stage or the ideas stage or the feedback stage. Now it's just the refining the existing ideas stage, coming up with round 2 ideas. And you can just jump straight in and just, these are the ideas that people have come up with. Like this person's Global Leadership Academy, and so you can click this idea and help refine it a bit. 29 comments, 11 likes. So here's the description of the solution, the idea. And then OpenIDEO give a bunch of questions to almost kind of turn your idea into a business plan, almost kind of make sure you thought about every aspect of it. And then here are all the comments from people. And you can reply to people's comments and sort of build upon ideas like this. And then once the time limit has run out, it will move on to the next stage, which is where are we? What comes after refinement? I think the main thing that's interesting about OpenIDEO is just the amount of thought and expertise they have in the creative process of like harnessing loads of people's ideas, and then rather than just ending up with a mess and nothing actually happens, they do successfully manage to converge all of those ideas and hone them down to the top ideas, That'll be announced in 19 days, and then that they'll be picked and actually implemented in real life. It's not just conceptual, and then they start measuring the impact and reflecting on it later.
The way that, and it's interesting, I've seen it before, I haven't looked at it. I remember looking at this before, I can't remember how long ago now, but thanks for bringing it up again. And when I think about sort of what we're visualizing and how that compares to this, I sort of, okay, here's the, you know, we just described, you know, the how real-time board and how we can create a map that drops down into these different things. And I think that that visual community development mapping tool is really important, and I don't see that here on this.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is quite different, I think.
But the way that then, if you've got a particular challenge that's been identified, one of the things on citizens media that that Eric's adding is an ability to submit a project. I did have it there just as a Google document, but we basically want to make it so that people can give comments and feedback on a project idea and build on it together. And that then that project idea could be updated, and you know, the person who created it can share, okay, we've been updated to this and so on, and other people can start to get involved. That part of it, that's what I see is here. And maybe if it's open source software that actually we could use the IDEO platform as, you know, for project discussions, but actually, anyway, that's going off on a tangent. So, you know, it's actually just putting a project out there and being able to discuss it simply. You're also, you know, you're talking about a lot of people are going to be accessing on a tablet device or on a phone even. So we want to be able to make it really simple for people to be able to see, okay, here's a project. I want to put a comment on this project. People see those comments, the project gets updated, and people naturally start to get more involved in the projects. And the more successful a project is, the more successful the community is going to be in this development plan. So there is this sort of innate motivation for people to help each other, support each other as it builds out. But it was, yeah, it's good to see that tool. Gosh, because I think, you know, if we can start, we could start earlier rather than, we could start sort of now over getting an initial, I guess I could work on, I've got to work on the campaign, all these other things related to the campaign right now. But as part of that, or I could sort of say, okay, here are the top level things, and here are the things that I would see need to connect to that. I could just do a diagram, I guess, and that we could actually start then, if you were game to be involved, fantastic. Have you done people facilitation, by the way? Have you done workshops where you've actually facilitated with?
Like in person, yeah, like holding spaces and facilitating actual activities.
Yeah.
Sure, a little. Yeah, a little. I recognise it's a skill set that I'm hugely inspired by, and I think you can keep learning so much after doing it for many, many, many years. So I feel like I'm very much at the beginning of that journey. But I have done, you know, like 5-day long, 4-day long art of hosting training, which, if you're familiar with, is like one of the best. I think it's such an amazing, in my experience, program to enable people to hold spaces for very diverse people to come together. You know, not just sort of empowered, inspired people by any means, but really diverse demographics of people to come together to more deeply, more open-mindedly listen to each other, and and create the conditions in which those people can be the best versions of themselves, the most inspired, creative, respectful, open-minded sort of versions of themselves. And you can manage, not control, but you can catalyze sort of interactions where people are full of ideas, and you're capturing and harnessing and making sense of some of those ideas as much as possible, and finding patterns between them, and then converging them into something that identifies common sort of themes and threads, and then you're able to whittle that down more and bring wisdom out of people that they can even find in themselves alone, you know. So kind of really embracing the differences in worldviews and opinions, and also just characters as well, like different people's sort of styles of working and being. And that's why I really became really clear about and comfortable with hosting like open space technology, facilitating things like triads and listening exercises, storytelling, even things like kind of trust games and things to bring people closer together and allow them to actually open up in that way, and have more than just a sort of trivial, superficial interaction. They can go a little deeper.
What is it, an online course, or is that, sounds like it must be a person course?
That's definitely a face-to-face thing. I think that'd be hard to reduce to an online course.
Yeah, it would be.
But no, art of hosting is really quite incredible. A very goosebumsy experience for me. Just really.
That's something I'd love to do too.
Oh man, yeah, do if you can get a chance.
There's one in Bowen.
It happens all over the world, I think. There's a sort of growing global network of people who learn the art of hosting way and then become a sort of practitioner of it, and kind of will hold events.
Yeah. Oh, we've got one in Bowen Island. It's in November though, so I might be in the UK at that point. Bowen Island is just off of the coast here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, Keith is Kibitsu is very good at, he's from Birkenhead community, and he's really good at working with people. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy, really wonderful, and inspirational, and I think he'll be a strong leader.
Wait, who did you say? Was this Graham, did you say?
Kibitsu, the guy who's from...
Okay, yeah.
He's from Birkenhead. The first time he'd ever flown was when he came over to Whistler for the workshop.
Yeah.
And he had very little growing up. His story is, we've got his story recorded, and it was very moving. It was the 4th day of the summit where Keith gave his story, and it really got the room together, because that's when, this is why during the summit, the Impact Economy Summit, I really want to make sure that every day it comes into, we have the separate subjects, whether it's interoperability of software, whether it's blockchain, whether it's, whatever it might be, economic development maps, that we look at these new economy solutions, and then we dive into what it means actually on the community level. So how has it really impacted communities so far, right now? What's happened? How could it? How do we think it could? What could it do in that specific community? It's really, really important to do that. I've gone completely off tangent. But what I'm thinking is, I mean, Keith, it would be good to have somebody who's done the sort of facilitation things that you're talking about. And Graham Calder's done them as well, and he helped facilitate the workshop, and he's also connected with permaculture type projects and ideas. He may not be available in May, but also this idea of developing the map at the same time that you've got expertise in. So I'm kind of just putting ideas out there right now. But having somebody, I feel, having somebody who's actually in Birkenhead, able to set the room up so that it matches this real-time board of what we've been working on between now and then when we go, and then work with Keith, who would lead. So Keith would lead the facilitation, but there's somebody there to support him, to work with him, to share certain skills and ideas, so that then, you know, those skills are in the community and, you know, can be, and if, you know, if Keith was involved, Keith would be involved in the process of building this map between now and when we go. So he'd be learning a lot of those skills then. So then when, you know, you met in person, then, so we can get the budget to do that, that would be great. You know, if you think that's something that would interest you and that, yeah, you could do that.
It feels scary and exciting. Yeah, it feels like something I'd really not want to mess up if I was involved in it.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with this project, big time.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I'd certainly be interested to explore more what it would involve and entail, how it might work. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. So I don't know if you want to just do a bit of a screen share on real-time board just for the sake of this recording so that people know what I'm going on about this post-it note type style that I like about it.
Yeah.
And then I can, you know, do what I said, and during the next sort of 5 days, build something out, and then we could have a group call, you know, with Sid, Warren, and Keith, and we can start to actually build something.
Yeah.
And then we do need to put some numbers into a budget, but we can make those up together as we go along. I'm hopeless at that. I can never put a number against my own name or anything.
Yeah.
Tangible things are easy.
Yeah, I feel like sort of 175 quid a day is like the cheapest I do my film and video production at, and I guess that kind of covers some of my experience in my equipment and stuff, and so I can potentially bend that down a little bit if it's especially a longer contract where I'm working lots of days in a row and if I don't need my own equipment and stuff. But yeah, I guess I feel like pardon?
I just got more excited because you do video stuff. I'd completely forgotten. You know, anyway, sorry, go
on. Yeah, so I guess I think that's helped me to kind of like price my time in sort of socially focused projects, which is most of what I do now, almost all of what I do. I guess I feel like some projects have managed to get to a place where they're able to get the finance that they deserve, and others haven't for whatever reason, at least yet. And so I guess I want to gravitate towards the projects that more or less have got the kind of finance I feel like they deserve, and therefore able to pay me what I deserve if I'm involved in them. You know, if I'm involved for a long time, if I'm just kind of doing a spot of help, then I don't need to charge anything. But if I'm going to work sort of days, then yeah.
I really, and it really helps as well because seeing somebody else do it helps me to, I could just copy that and take the same numbers, and at least it's a starting point where you feel as though you're not being, I just find money such a difficult thing. But one of the things that Ian McKenzie talks about is with the crowdfunding is you have your basic budget, but then if we have more money, then this is how it would stretch. And another thing that's been done before in a proposal I've done is you've got the minimum. Here's the minimum amount that we need to do this, but here's what we would like. And that people sort of accept that, okay, if we only get the minimum, that's what happens. If we get more money, then we get more coming to us. We're going to agree to do this initial stage at this, if this is all we can get. And then, but next time we might say, actually, our bottom line is a bit higher than last time, and so on. Okay.
Yeah. Are you seeing what I'm doing?
Stop rambling, I'm paying attention.
So yeah, it's very easy to sort of link things together. There's a huge amount of control in things like this. So linking things together, and then we could. I quite often find myself doing like legends like this. And just like being able to like group select things and then change the color of a post-it like this.
I just love the versatility of this, and just because it can translate to actual sort of a physical board of white paper and post-it notes.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely fun. So that's like URLs. That will link out to me. Lots of things. Print screens.
Does it do word recognition? So if you hashtag something, it'll pick it up where else it is.
Yes, let me get onto that. Oh yeah, for some reason this doesn't seem to work properly on my computer. The print screen thing. I don't know why. Yeah, I can't seem to copy paste on here, but it should let me. Like on every other computer I've tried it on, it does let you. But yeah, so you should be able to just like copy something and then paste it in here. I mean, I think you can do it with pictures, right? Like let me just get an image from somewhere. God, that's not a very imagey website, is it? I want an image or something.
Well, there are some images.
Of all the things I could have put in there.
Wonderful to actually within this actually take photographs of the participants and include that, so that you know in the actual sort of room in Vercanet we might just have, okay, here's this person's skill that's going to go to this project, and we just have their name there. But actually when we translate, when we do the data entry, that there's a little picture of them.
Yeah,
it can be included too. Because
yeah, so it is easy to do that. So if you like grab an image like this, I mean, this is the slow way of doing it, just because I haven't worked out what's wrong with this particular. I think it's this web browser. I've got a lot of like extensions or something. But anyway, you can do it this way as well. This is what would happen normally when you copy paste, and then yeah, you resize that, and you can crop it if you want to. Yeah, so when this gets kind of really awesome is when you make it like the sharing settings, basically, and comments. So it's just like a Google Doc. Needs a name. So here, just like on a Google Doc, you can get anyone with the link can access this board. So I can just copy that link, and then if I open up like Internet Explorer, this is how it looks for you. Like I can share this right now in Hangouts on air, and this is the board as you would see it yourself. You don't actually need to log in. It's because I haven't refreshed my cookies. Just a second. Let me give you this link, and then you can play with it yourself. Actually, I'll stick it in the comments section.
Okay, thanks.
You should be able to access it without even logging in. It should just come straight up, no?
It's loading.
Yeah, cool. I've got it on my other browser. So yeah, you can either look at it there, or you'll probably be able to see more if you look at my screen of the things I'm showing you, because some of the things will be behind the scenes. But anyway, so just like a Google Doc here, I can make it just publicly viewable, or I can also allow the public to add comments. So now I've enabled comments to be added. If you reload the page your end now, you should see this comment box appear on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And if you click that, you can add comments anywhere.
Oh, I've got to add a name.
Yeah. So you can probably see there's a comment on that post-it note now, no?
Yep. And then you can resolve.
Yeah, you can resolve them, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so, and so on the side panel. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, can you see on my screen,
on your
you
screen.
can
Okay.
click this button here to see the latest activity. So that's actually how I saw that you had written a comment, is I clicked this. And then if I click your comment, it will jump to it and open it up.
That's a signing thing. Where is that again?
The what? The commenting.
The seeing the latest activity.
So it's in the very top right corner. There's a comment bubble. Oh, yeah. Do you have that? Let me see. Oh, yeah, you do have that. Yeah. In the very top right corner, next to the magnifying glass.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And then you asked about hashtags and searching. So if you click the magnifying glass, type in the word searching.
Sorry. Daydreaming. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant.
And you should see what happens when you search for searching.
It took me straight to the box that you're in, hashtags and searching.
Cool. And then, so if you don't press enter, you just type the word searching, it should come up with 2 results now.
Hashtags and searching, can you find me?
Click searching, can you find me?
Okay.
So that's a comment that could be left by anyone in the world. They can just log in on their phone or on their computer and they've just left a comment. So yeah,
And
that's.
Can you see a library of hashtags?
So not quite. Well, yeah, sort of. Yeah. It calls it a different thing. It just calls them tags. So I'm going to tag this. So see this on my screen? Add a tag. You don't have editor rights. You're not logged in as a full contributor. You're just a member of the public. But I can put in food as a tag, and I can do mass actions, right? So I can go, those 3 are food, and that's food. I just tag them all food. And how does that actually translate when you want to sort of show all the food items? You just click the magnifying glass, and then, are you seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
You hit the filter up here, and then we'll do tags. So you can search all these kinds of things. You can search for just comments or just notes, or you can search tags. So these are all the food tags, and that shows all 5 of them.
It's going to be seeing the model that we come up with in this workshop and then developing. From there about how I think it's, I'm so glad you showed me this. I mean, this is just a short conversation we had in Paris.
Yeah. You can do a lot to neaten things up as well if you want to, like this, like that. And then
in the last week, when we do the citizen journalism training, what we could do is, because if we're busy doing the data entry as the board is developing in the community, then we could then in the last week say, okay, now what we've done is translated everything in these last 3 weeks, and it's, or the last 2 weeks, and it's now on the software, and here's how you can work on it. Here's how you can work on the software. So that becomes part of, you know, the social media things. There's always blogging, storytelling, and all those sorts of type of things. Sort of mini workshops, or workshops that happen during that week. And this is one of them.
Yeah, I'm still working out like all the different things that real-time board can be used for, because like there's a bunch, man. Like we've actually used it for, if I can remember, the Dignity Pilot, is it? No, hang on a second.
Okay.
So we've actually used real-time board to create a prototype for Dignity platform. I just need to remember shortcut. This is it. Yeah. So this should load an online pilot for Dignity platform, which invites you to offer and request skills from your local community.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you help someone or you hire someone for help, the hirer is paying money, which goes to a community project you want to raise money for.
Because the NRP, when I'm talking with Sensorica, of talking about open inputs and open outputs, if we can show open inputs and build it up on this same map, then that would be cool. Because whether or not we use the NRP Sensorica solution that they're developing, but at least if we've got that information in there as we go along, then it's something that we'll be able to easily pick up the data and hopefully throw into the new architecture. Because as long as it's in the same, key categories, then you should be able to pick up data from one platform to another, right?
What's NRP stand for?
Network Resource Planning Tool.
Okay.
Resource planning.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So here, this is logged in as if I remember the public, and you can see how we've got photos that we took of people in the street who wanted to take part in our first pilot, their name, what skill they offer, what they want to charge per hour, and where they want the money to go. So what charities or projects they want to fundraise for by helping people.
Okay.
And so, yeah, anyone can add a comment here. This is the invitation. They just find their own space down here and they just go, Mary Smith. You have to put your name. You don't even have to log in, but you have to at least just keep your name so it doesn't come up as anonymous. And I can do, web design, whatever. Anyway, so that's just a way of like opening it up so the world can comment on it.
Oh, that's great. This is awesome, Luke. I think we should probably make it a wrap so that I can share this with the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing is the fact that you're in Brighton is fantastic because whenever I go down to picnic, I'll be in Brighton beforehand and afterwards. So it would actually mean that we can sort of, come a bit earlier and we could make sure that, we could meet in person and actually refine things before heading out.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be really cool. So that's around October, you were saying?
Well, this would actually be closer to, we're wanting to get out there in May. Mid-May would be the earliest.
Okay, so when did you say you'll be in the Brighton area?
Well, the 3-month thing is October. I'm going to share this with the team, and then as I said, I'll do that framework just to sort of recap to close the video. The sort of overarching thing. Then I'll share this video with everyone. I'll do that basic map to look at some of the attributes that Sid identified in the Universal Assembly and architecture, energy, land distribution, sorts of things. Then we could start to, I think we'll need to have sessions where we're building that map by working with, Sid and Warren and Keith.
Yeah.
And so, and then seeing where that goes. And yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Okie cool. Let me just give you these last 2 links just before we wrap up.
Okay. Stop the video. Oh, go on. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just in case you want to explore more, they're like in my sort of pretty deep sort of exploration into mapping and sort of relationship mapping and sort of visualizing complex networks and things. I'll check out Kumu. So kumu.io. Can you see that on my screen?
I'll just show you this as well, actually.
Kumu is a powerful data visualization platform helping you to organize complex information into interactive relationship maps. So that's pretty cool. There's a few different ways of visualizing information, like kind of yeah, it could be by sector or by community or by skill set or by sort of status or something. And you can sort of reflow. You can have different ways of looking at the same data, organizing it in different ways. And then MindMeister, which is it's been just steadily continuing as a project, getting more and more advanced, and I think it's quite cool. I think it's interesting partly because if you want to, you can go quite deep into it, and yeah, you can actually have like tasks and stuff on there. Like if you did want to create sort of like actionable things that people can do in their communities, and they can. I don't know if you want to go that deep into it or just keep it more like just visualizing something more static. But if you did want to kind of have people saying, I'm going to lead this thing, or I want to be involved in that, or whatever, you can, as you can see in this image here, you can have people along the bottom, and you can like drag and drop actionable things onto them. But yeah, just another couple of tools that are also quite good. But yeah, real-time board is the one that we use in Dignity for our own sort of projects and stuff. I can give you just like a few seconds, like little overview of how we use it. Actually, well, I don't know how useful that would be. We're probably using it for quite different things. Maybe it's worth we just leave it there actually.
Okay. The yeah, no thanks. And yeah, taking a deeper dive look another time would be awesome.
Yeah.
But when I've looked at Kumu before, and the other one, the MindMeister one, I haven't looked at. It looks visually too complex, and when I think about, okay, we're introducing a community that a lot of people haven't had a tablet before, and we want to make sure that anyone in any community can understand what they're seeing. If there is data that can be put into that map that could be then pulled into another software that can give a visual representation, that maybe it's a different platform that's used to plug in the metrics of a community and how that connects with something. Or maybe, but you know a lot more about these. I look at them, like Mindomo is another one that's being built, connected with a high.
Yeah, Mindomo is kind of cool. Yeah, I see that as a more primitive version of MindMeister, basically, I think. Okay.
I want to be careful. I've sent you a link with the NRP, which is another one that is about tracking open inputs and open outputs and so on. But with all of those things at this point, I think let's really start with, because we're looking at actual, let's really start. I want to see this overarching, here are the things that are needed in the community. And actual sort of economies that can be built into that. And then maybe at the end of this, you sort of think, well, actually, we should translate this into Zumo, or let's put this into Zumo at the same time, even, so that, there might be sort of platforms or data or representations of the data that we're collecting that we're looking at as the team, but we're not sharing with the community at this point. We're not holding, but we're not introducing it to the community.
Yeah. Right.
Because just the Post-it note idea, and that the way that translates so directly from an in-the-room experience is what, feels not overwhelming to me and feels doable. And it's also that exploration into, it's like when you sort of, what's your career going to be when you're 18, or you meant to decide when you're about 14, I think. It's, if you've got no experience of anything and you're really not sure about what's involved in any particular job, it's hard to dream into or imagine what's coming. So if you've been in a community that these things just haven't been available to you, so you sort of have this, actually getting the community to dream in together and to teach us what's needed and what, I think real-time board is probably going to be the easiest, the simplest to do that.
Yeah, just logistically keep in mind that you can only make a board public to the world to comment on with a paid account. which is like $5 per user per month or something, or $3 or something.
Yeah.
If you want to make it publicly, so anyone in the world can just add comments.
Pricing.
Yeah, it's pretty standard, I think. Yeah, kind of about $5 a user, I think, for these sort of collaborative sort of platforms. I mean, if you want to, you can make a free account on there, and you can make up to 3 boards on it. And I think you can even have a couple of full contributor friends join you and have full editing access to all the post-its and designs and shapes and links and stuff. But yeah, you can make it publicly viewable, but if you want the world to be able to comment on it, then yeah, that's a paid feature. Or if you want more than 2 other collaborators to join you as full contributors, that also requires money. If you want more than 3 boards.
Yeah, Kumu is free, is it? Is Kumu free?
I'm sure it'll have some kind of paid feature on there. Pricing. I've had a little play on it and I haven't found it. Oh yeah, public projects. Okay, so yeah, this looks very open source software sort of inspired. So organization is $20 per month, unless it's a public project, in which case it's free. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, at this point, I think the one that's the easiest for us to use. It's going to be, there are 50 participants we want to bring into the workshop. So I think sort of in week 4, it could be up to 50 participants. If one in that workshop wants to be involved in this, and if everyone has a tablet, if that's able to get those tablets in time. But it could end up being that, the tablets aren't there, so it's more like 10 people. And there is a monthly bill there, so.
You think they would need to have full contributor access? Yeah, it wouldn't work if they were just limited to attaching comments to bits, and then some people with full accounts can then sort of translate those into post-its or.
You're right. You're right, and I think the other thing is, if anyone can comment without actually being, having to pay for that,
without even having to log in or create an account,
then there could be, and it, and this is more realistic as well, depending on how many machines are available right away. There could be sort of data entry people who are within the community who can go and sit with and connect with other members of the community. So data entry, because they've got access, so people can post comments or say, I'd like to talk to you, let's meet up or whatever, and they just meet somewhere in the community. So you have sort of dedicated data entry people. At this stage, yeah, I think that would be good. I think that would be good enough. And it also helps when you have this sort of let's meet together in the community. You also then have that gathering that's happening, which is so important when you're building, when you're facilitating collaboration from within a community, to build from within, inside out.
Yeah, man, I'd like to just sit with you, I think, and just explore, like just seeing how much clarity we can bring to the value propositions and how much reality we can bring to the mapping out user journeys of this initiative. Like, what's the most realistic common way that people are going to actually first get involved through to actually take action that is really enabled and empowered through this initiative, which they weren't able to do before. Like, just really visualize that every step of it.
Yeah, no, it'd be great to map that in. Yeah. And I think as we start putting data in, we'll start to see more things. It'll reveal itself. Which is why again, why I like the simplicity of this software. And as we start to visualize that more and more, it'd be easier to develop a proposal, a business case for making this a focus project. What I don't want to do is unnecessarily duplicate existing software, but what I do want to do is have something that is directly developed from experience within communities.
Yeah.
So isn't sort of a theoretical model platform that's then we're trying to make fit a community, but the other way around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Aye.
So much. That's exciting. And I'd completely forgotten about your filming and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's my two main things: dignity platform and filmmaking. That's taken up a lot of my time, and it's very fun.
So being a sort of multitasking time in Birkneck over sort of, being able to help film and work with people who are wanting to tell their stories and that sort of thing, and then building this out as well. Okay, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right, sweet. Let's connect again soon if you'd like to. Yeah,
Thanks.
glad that was helpful. Nice to hear your voice and see your face.
Likewise, I will CC you in on the email that I send to everyone, which will have this recording into it. So.
Okay, cool.
You
All right. Cheers, Caroline.
Send me the link.
Sorry, send you the link for what? Oh, to this video. Yeah, we'll do.
Take care.
Right. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.